finally returned after 10 or so years, and it's very good. Like, it's pretty much flawless. But there's just gonna be dozens of, like, people giving their reviews online, so I wanted to do something with a little more substance. I'm gonna go through the episode and just point out all the major differences to its manga counterpart. This won't include basic, like, scene swapping. Like, if a scene gets moved a couple panels later than it was in the manga, I won't talk about it. But if it's major, like a scene getting totally cut or like moved to like way further down than it should be, then I will talk about it. Okay, so the first change happens pretty much instantly. It's the first thing we see in the anime. We see the Quincy hymn or the prophecy, and then we get shown Yuha directly. So it's a pretty major change. We didn't see any of that stuff till much later in the manga. We saw Yuha like 4 chapters later or whatever, but the Quincy prophecy wasn't mentioned till way later. Next up is that the show skips the scene of Yuki being woken up and preparing for his mission. Instead, it skips right to him and Shin'o arriving in Karakura Town. Though most of the conversation that him and Shin'o had in the Soul Society is now done in Karakura Town. In the manga, Ryunosuke got attacked directly after Shin'o left. In the anime, he goes to sit on a bridge before the hollow comes. They also cut out some of his dialogue with trying to call Shin'o while running away from the hollow. The show removed 2 hollows from the scene of like the hollows holding Shin'o. In the manga, there was 5. In the show, there's only 3. In the manga, the fight with the hollows was a flashback that came after Ryunosuke woke up. It was also very short, so most of the stuff in the show is totally original. All we saw in the manga was the group shot of Ichigo, Orihime, Chad, and Uryu together. Ryunosuke's inner monologue about how strong they are was also not included. A brief scene with Lisa and Hiyori is removed. In the manga, it was right before we see Ryunosuke at Ichigo's house. A scene with Ikaku is also removed. It was like 2 panels, though, so it's not that important. All of his dialogue from that scene was actually inserted into the Ikaku scene that was in the episode, so nothing was really lost. In the show, Chad and Uryu never offer to help Ichigo with the Arankar. We also don't see Yuzi and Karin react to the noise of Ichigo kicking the Arankar, like we saw in the manga. In the show, Ichigo doesn't force Ebern to follow him by flying away. He also doesn't mention Aizen to Ebern. And the last major change in the episode was the show shows a flash from Chojiro's Bankai, and Yamamoto hints to it being his Bankai. This is, of course, foreshadowing for a future fight. It wasn't in the manga at all. So I think it's pretty cool that they added some foreshadowing to the Bankai thing. So yeah, that's all the major changes from episode 1 of the 1,000-Year Blood War arc. I should be doing this with episode 2, 3, and so on. Hopefully the day of release for each of the episodes, but I can't really guarantee that. Something might come up. But yeah, personally speaking, I liked all the changes this episode. I didn't like the Hiyori scene being removed. I was fine with the Ikaku scene being removed because it made sense for pacing reasons. It was only there in the manga to like hint towards a larger plot, but in the anime it isn't necessary because the larger plot is shown like a minute later. So it's not that big of a deal. The Hiyori scene was kind of annoying, though. Let me know if you liked the changes in this episode.